Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of Joshua. We're in Joshua chapter 24. Today we'll start reading at verse 22. Now we saw in yesterday's session that Joshua had challenged the people to make their choice. You must choose to serve the Lord your God and Him only. Will you make that choice? He said, as for in my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And the people responded with acclamation, we will serve the Lord. We will serve and worship the Lord and the Lord only. And now Joshua is ready to renew their covenant with God. So we start at verse 22. And Joshua said, you are witnesses against yourself that you have chosen to serve the Lord. Yes, they replied, we are witnesses. Now then, said Joshua, throw away the foreign gods that are among you and yield your hearts to the Lord, the God of Israel. And the people said to Joshua, we will serve the Lord our God, and we will obey him. So once again, he reminds them, you've chosen. They said, yes, we have. So throw away any foreign gods you have among you. If you have any idols, any of the gods the other peoples worship, the gods of the Canaanites whom you have dispossessed, throw them away. You must be loyal only to the Lord your God. And they said, we will serve him and him only. So with this choice of faith, with this commitment, Joshua is ready to renew their covenant. Verse 25. So on that day, Joshua made a covenant for the people. And there at Shechem, he reaffirmed them the decrees and the laws. Joshua recorded these things in the book of the law of God. And he took a large stone. He set it up there under the oak near the holy place of the Lord. See, he said to all the people, this stone will be a witness against us. It has heard all these words that the Lord has said to us. It will be a witness against you if you are untrue to your God. And so Joshua dismissed the people, each to their own inheritance. Now this covenant Joshua makes with the people, this is not a new covenant. It is a reaffirmation of their covenant with God, first made 70 years ago at Mount Sinai, when they had come out of bondage in Egypt. Remember, Moses brought them to Mount Sinai. They heard the voice of God from the mountaintop. They received the 10 words, the 10 commandments. They received the law of God, and they entered into covenant with God. They were his people. So Joshua is simply reaffirming and renewing this covenant. It's not a new covenant. It is the Mount Sinai covenant renewed. That's why it says he gave them the decrees and the laws, the book of the law of God. This is that which Moses had given to them, the law of God, the commandments, the instructions for worship. They remember the covenant and they renew it. You know, there are times in our life when we need to simply renew our covenant with God. We don't start all over again. We just renew who we are in him. You know, in most churches, we have times during the year when we do such renewal of covenant moments. This is very common, for instance, at New Year's. A lot of times on New Year's Eve services, we'll come together as the church and renew our covenant with God. Remind ourselves of who we are, what God has done for us in the past, and renew ourselves to be his in the present and in the future. That's what Joshua did for Israel. 70 years ago, you entered into covenant with God at Mount Sinai. He brought you through the wilderness. He brought you into the promised land. He has now given you the land of promise. It's yours. So renew your covenant with him. Once again, affirm that you will be loyal only to him. You worship and serve the Lord and he alone. And that's what they did. And so they built this monument as a reminder that they are and they will be always the people of God, the covenant people. So with the covenant renewed, Joshua sends them home, each to their own inheritance. And then we come to the last stage, verse 29. So after all these things, that is the conquest, taking of the promised land, the renewal of the covenant, after all these things, Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, he died at the age of 110. They buried him in the land of his inheritance at Timnath Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gaash. So Joshua's earthly sojourn comes to an end, but he has fulfilled his mission of bringing the people into the land. What a life it was he lived, a life of faith and trust and obedience to the Lord. Now, tomorrow we're going to look at the last few verses of Joshua. There's a couple of wrap-up things the author of Joshua wants to tell us about. And so we'll conclude our study of Joshua by looking at the last paragraph in tomorrow's session. So join us next time for our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Joshua.